Hi everybody, this is Brandon from MultiversityComics.com. I'm here with Mike Allred, a prolific creator, Madman obviously, X-Statix, X-Force, upcoming iZombie, highly anticipated. Thanks for doing this with us, really appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
Excellent. That was the sign I had to wear to get this. It was well worth it, ladies and gentlemen. So first of all, what is the process like? Obviously you work with your beautiful wife. That's got to be an amazing thing to be able to work so hand in hand with your wife. I mean, it's got to be an amazing thing. And a lot of people work separately and that kind of stinks. You don't get to spend as much time, but you don't run into that problem. What's that like?
It's great. When we were doing well enough for her to quit her regular job to color full time and stay home, we were a little concerned that we might get sick of each other, and it was the opposite. That was 1994, I think, 1995, and we've just gotten closer, and there's just this melding that took place, and I would strongly encourage any spouses that can work together to do so, because you're sharing your lives, you know. We don't have to like catch each other up at the end of the day. We've experienced everything. And I don't go anywhere without her, and everybody knows that. So when we get invited to appearances, it's always the package. You know, it's Laura and I.
That's excellent. So what's the creative process like that? When you come up with ideas for, say, Madman or things like that, do you run ideas off her, bounce ideas back and forth, things like that?
Rarely. I mostly get her feedback once I've finished everything. And sometimes she'll read a script as I'm drawing it. But most of the time she first sees it as, you know, when it's completely inked. And she's scanning it in, then she'll ask me questions about it. And a lot of time we're overlapping where I'll be drawing the next book while she's coloring one. So I can be there drawing it and she can be asking me about what I had just done. And sometimes that has a nice way to help me work on what I'm doing now, given the questions she's asking and what's clear and what's not. But yeah, she's my best fielder.
That's excellent. So again, I mentioned you're getting ready to do iZombie. It launches in May. Can you tell people who maybe aren't familiar with the idea and the concept a little bit about it?
Oh, iZombie started with because Shelley Bond, who was my first editor ever, Shelley Roberg, when she worked at Kimiko. For years, she's been. I've done a few things for her in Vertigo, but little like a Fables here, a Sandman there. And she's always been trying to get me to do a regular monthly, and it just, never seemed. It wasn't convenient. It didn't fit. I was doing my own thing elsewhere, but I've always loved working with Shelley. I love Vertigo. I love DC, and she hooked me up with a writer named Chris Roberson, and he was writing a Fables spin-off miniseries, Cinderella and the Spy Adventure, and the concept he had was great, and I just kind of gave my feedback on it, like, well, what if we did this, and what about if this character was like this, and Chris and I just gelled, and it just felt right, and when we came back with our fully formed collaborative concepts, everybody went for it, and we just took off. Then it turns out his wife, Allie, used to be Robert Rodriguez's personal assistant, who took care of us when we were on the Spy Kids movie. We'd do stuff with Robert, and he flew our daughter down for the second film to be a spy kid in this big banquet scene. You want me to wait? Or is that okay?
That's fine. It's just common con fare.
Pick up in aisle 3.
Yeah.
So anyway, it goes beyond that. It turns out Chris has corresponded with my older brother in the prose sci-fi community, but yeah, I mean, just all of a sudden, you're married to who? So there's a lot of this great synchronicity that's happened, and I'm 4 issues into it now. I've never had a head start like this on a book before, so the book will be out May 5th, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever been involved with. I think my artwork has taken a new leap, and it's a catch-all monster book, whereas it's got our versions of classic monsters, that so much so our version that you may not recognize them as icons, but it really is deep. The characters are very rich. It's got some really nice terror in it, and it's got a heart.
Excellent.
For me, it's the perfect book. I'm really glad Shelley kept after me, because I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, absolutely. Also, another thing you're working on right now is Nation X. It comes out this week, actually, with Peter Milligan. And I wanted to ask you kind of the interesting way that kind of worked out. Where initially, when you guys were on that book, there was a lot of brouhaha and nonsense complaining. But now it's so great that it's kind of come to a point where everybody's like, we need more, we need more. And now, you know, people are clamoring for it, and it's finally coming. What is that like to see something kind of go like that, you know, in such a circle?
It really feels great.
Good.
We enjoyed and appreciated what we were doing when we were doing it, and to see that it has legs, you know, that there's still an outside appreciation for it. Everything I do is done selfishly. It's making comics is fun for me, and so I have to entertain myself first, or do what's going to keep me interested, and then hopefully there's an audience there that's going to support it. And to find out years later that something we did has grown in affection, that's very gratifying.
Yeah, it's an excellent book. Actually, for Multiversity Comics, we did a Best of the Decade, and the Nuff Said issue is actually my number 3. I thought that was such an amazing issue, to say so much with so little words. You know,
yeah.
It was amazing.
Well, Peter's a brilliant guy. I'd worked with him. I mean, I've been really busy, but when they said, "Hey, Pete's got the short stories, hoping you'll draw," it's like, well, all Pete has to do is ask me, and I'm there. So yeah, it was great.
So is this the springboard into maybe more X-Statix potentially?
Probably not. I've got my hands full with iZombie right now, and I'm working on a Madman special. I've always got to do something with the Snap City world, or I go a little crazy. So that's going to keep me busy for a while. But Peter and I have actually talked about doing a mini-series with the X-Statix crew, and at this point it's just scheduling for the both of us. So that if I had to line things up, that's what I would hope to do, if I could carve the time out there.
Excellent. All right, so one last question though, since you did bring up Madman, you know, that last run was amazing. You had the issue where you went through all the art styles throughout, which was that was brilliant. That I don't know how you could look at that issue and not be in love with it. So glad to hear there's going to be more coming. When can we expect that then? Because I know there's a lot of people looking forward to that.
Realistically, probably next spring.
Excellent.
Hopefully by then. That's my best guess.
Okay, that works. Well, I just did.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I can't. Yeah. By the way, that issue was really hard to do. I thought it was going to be easy because I was just going to be copying, you know, from another artist, but I actually got to where I was researching what tools they used, like what pen Al Hirschfeld used, and it got quite big. But wow, it was is the kind of thing that I'd want to do something like that for years, and it just, the time came, did it, and it was joy. It's a love letter from me. That's what it is. I may even do another one because there are so many other creators that have inspired me that I would love to rip off.
Yeah. So, no, that was a beautiful ripoff, as you put it. It was amazing.
Swipe.
Yeah, it was a gem of my collection, that's for sure. So.
Yeah, homage.
So, all right, well, thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time out with us, and we all look forward to more, and hopefully we can sit down with you again another point for multiversitycomics.com.
Super.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.